Okay, welcome to this lesson on text effects. I'm going to walk you through 4 different text effects. The first 3, the linear fill, the neon, and the pattern fill, they're pretty straightforward, so it'll go pretty quick. And then the last one, the 3D text, that's a little more complicated, and it's got several layers to it, so we'll spend a little more time on that. Now notice the first thing in my layers panel, I've created a folder for each one of my text effects just to kind of keep it nice and organized. So we'll do that as we build this. So I'm going to go up to File, New. I'm going to create a 640 by 480. It's kind of a standard size. And that'll fill my screen nicely. And the first thing I want to do is I want to draw a black grid line to separate the screen into 4 sizes. So notice I selected my color. I'm going to make the size of my stroke 2. There you go. And to get a perfectly straight line, I'm going to hold down my Shift key as I draw that line. And I'll draw one this way as well. Okay, so that's pretty good. And you can, of course, move that a little bit if you wanted to. Now, the first thing we'll do is we'll do our linear fill. So I'm going to select my letter. Now, to get these text effects, it works the best if you have a nice, fat font, a thick one. Arial Black is a great one. It's a really thick. And I'm going to put that on bold, and I'm going to make that color, just to start with, I'll make it black, and I'll just write my name. And you can do whatever you want for that. So the first one to do is a linear. It's very easy. You go to the color selector, and you select Fill Options, and then things pop up. And usually you're on solid, but there's other choices, and the one we're going to do for this guy is gradient. And it selects linear gradient automatically, but you can see there's a lot of other different options. For this one, I'm going to stick with linear, and the default is white to black. I'm going to edit that. You can see with this crayon marker, if you haven't played with this before, this is showing you the gradient. It's going to start with white, and let's say I'm going to change that and make mine go blue to black. And let's say in the middle, I want to make it go yellow. I can just click here and click my button, and then another crayon will show up. And then I can select that. And now it's going to go blue to yellow to black. And if I want to change it, let's say keep it blue longer, and do black at the end, I might want to add another one, make that blue. There, now the blue will stay a lot longer than just do black at the end. So now the top thing is transparency. So if I wanted to make it less opaque, you could play around with that. And then the last thing I want to show with the linear, you can control the direction of the linear fill by clicking on that little box. So if I wanted to make it diagonal, you could try that. And there, now it puts a little more black on the E. So that's a simple one of a linear, no big deal. Now to do the neon glow, it works the best if you have a nice black background. So I'm going to draw using my rectangle tool. I'm going to make that, get rid of that linear, make it solid, I'll make it all black, and I'm going to draw a black square. Now, there you go. Now I forgot to do over here, I'm going to rename this layer linear, and I'm going to add a new layer, or new folder, and I'll call that one neon. Keep myself organized, I forgot about that. Now I'm going to take that rectangle and put it inside of the neon. So now the linear has the mic in there, and it also has the 2 paths. I'll leave them in there. I can close that up. Now here I am in the neon. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the letter A again. And this time, instead of making it black, why don't I make my neon like a nice neon green. Neon. Now, that right in itself gives you a little bit of a on that green on top of the black. But to really give it that glow, I want to add a filter. So I click on that, and one of the options is glow. So I'm going to do a glow, and it chose a red glow. And notice you can this offset here is how far you want the glow to go. You can also change how strong you want it by increasing that, so I can really stand out, and how fuzzy you want it. And then the offset is if you wanted to be going like one direction. I think I'll just leave mine at 0. So maybe even increase that neon glow a little bit more. And now I'm going to try something to really give it a little more punch. I'm going to draw an edge around my letters. So that's right here with a pencil. And right now it's set to be transparent. I'm going to go to stroke options. Well, I got to go to color first. I think I'll try like a black edge. Yeah, it kind of stands out. Nice. Okay, so there's my neon glow. And now my next up I want to try is, or I'll do, what is it next one? The pattern fill. Alright, so I'll click on my letter A. And this time I'll just put my last name. Now if that happens, you just click on the black arrow and you can stretch that text box. Give me that. There you go. Stretch it out so it fits. Now to do a pattern fill, we're also going to go inside the color into the fill options. You may have seen it before. And instead of, last time we did gradient, this time we'll do pattern. And there's all kinds of patterns. The one that I used before that looks pretty good is this dark paint. I think that looks pretty nice. So there's my pattern inside of my name. And I also, since the pattern itself, to give it a little more border, I want to draw an edge around my words again. Maybe I'll choose like a kind of a dark blue, maybe a little darker, and I'm going to go to the stroke options, and it's set to be a soft pixel of 1. I'll make it increase a little bit, maybe to 3, maybe just 2. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And now the last one. We are on the 3D text. So this is the kind of look we're going for. Oh, and once again I forgot to put my create a new folder layer for pattern. So I'm kind of doing it after the fact, and I'll move that inside there. Just keep organized. Alright, now I'm going to make a new folder again, and this will be for my 3D. Alright, so first of all, we're going to pick our letter, and I'm going to get it off that fill option. Just go back to normal. Get out of here. And how about a normal, whatever, just to get it started. Alright, 3D text. So first thing I want to do is I want to choose a linear fill. Gives it a little more interesting color. So I'm going to choose back to linear gradient, and I'm going to give it kind of a lightish, maybe blue, and I'll go to this darker maroonish kind of red thing. You can play around with any colors you want, but I'm going to switch it around so it goes from top to bottom. So see how I grab that and then move that up here. Stretch it out a little bit more. Grab that guy. Okay, there you go. So I've got the one text. Now what I want to do is I want to duplicate this 3 times. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is I want to skew my text. So I'm going to go up here and turn on my skew tool. That'll kind of give it that look like it's coming out of the page. Just kind of grab it like that. Kind of the old Star Wars look. Alright, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this or clone it 3 times. So I'm going to create 3 of these guys. So that's up in your edit, clone, or it's Control-Shift-D. Control-Shift-D. So notice we have, hey, what happened with that? Okay, let's try that again. Edit. Clone that. Alright, now I have 3 of them. Now what I want to do is I want to select the middle layer, 3D text, and they're all identical. They're all on top of each other, so you really can't tell anything yet. And that middle one, I'm going to add a shadow to it. So that's a filter, shadow and glow, and I'm not going to do a drop shadow. I'm going to do a solid shadow. And by doing a solid shadow, it basically pushes itself down. Now I'd already done this, so it remembered my setting, but yours probably won't start at angle 270. The 270 degree angle will basically push that shadow straight down, so you'll get this thick look to it. And the distance you can play with. You know, the greater the distance, the more the 3D look. So I think I stuck with around 10, 12 or something. So that's pretty good. So I'll say OK to that. Now that middle guy has been texed up, and what happens is you start to kind of lose the definition. It's all blending together. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to choose the upper layer, and we're going to change the color to white, all white. So I'm going to get rid of that gradient. I'm going to make the upper one white. Okay, and now you get this very stark looking, doesn't look so good. And what we want to do now is we want to blend this white in somewhat into the layer beneath it. And a nice way to do that is add here under the normal blend mode, you can use different types of blend, and we're going to do is a fuzzy light. So that kind of mimics what would happen if you had a soft fuzzy light shining down in that white. It would kind of it would blend it together nicely like that. And then to add a little more to it, now notice I'm still in the top layer over my layer panel, 3D text layer. I want to add a blur, Gaussian blur. So it's inside blur, and a Gaussian blur right around 1.3, somewhere around there. You don't want to make it too blurry. It starts to soften up a little bit, even a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to go to the bottom layer. In the bottom layer, I'm going to change to all black. So I'm going to get rid of that gradient, solid. I'll make the bottom layer black. And that too, I'm going to give a Gaussian blur to. Where are you? You may not see, I think I just noticed when I was doing the blur, it was probably off the screen. So you didn't see that part, but came up. And now it's looking pretty good. Now the final touch to the final touch we're going to do is go to the top layer, and we're going to give it the stroke a color of black, the pencil, if you will. And I'm going to give that, oops, just a simple pencil. Where are you? And I'll make it black, just one. And I'm not going to make it hard. I'm going to make it a soft look to it. And that just gives it a nice little extra definition. Not too bad for some 3D text there. So there you have it. Now, what we're going to do next, I want to walk you through this in case someone's still a little confused. We need to export this out before we can link it up. First thing, of course, is you want to save it. Don't call it untitled, call it like text effects. And that's the PNG file. You need that PNG file if you ever want to make changes, because all your information, all these folders and layers and whatnot, they'll be stored in the PNG file. But you don't want to link the PNG file up on the web, because it'll be a very large file. You want to convert it. So I've shown you 2UP. If you haven't played around, 4UP can be even a little nicer. 4UP allows you to change up to 3 different settings at once. So open up the optimize panel. On this first guy, I'm going to make him a JPEG 80 quality, and you can see it's going to be 30K. On the second one, I'll make this one a GIF. I'll make it GIF adaptive. You can see what that one looks like. And that last one, maybe I could try that a JPEG, and maybe I could change the quality even a little lower and see if I can get away with something lower. And I reduced the quality down a bit, but it's 24K, the other one's 30K. It doesn't look quite as good. But you should be able to see the GIF does not look as good, especially with these linear gradients, even though the file size is a little bit smaller. Now, a nice little handy thing about this, if you press the space bar, it turns into a hand and allows you to move the picture around and preview different parts of it. And it's actually the GIF looks pretty darn good on all of these. The Neon Gold looks fine. Maybe just the linear gradient's not so good compared to the JPEG. So on the end, I'm probably going to export out this one, so I'll select it, and then I'm going to go to File, Export, and then I'd export out that JPEG into my folder. And that's the one that I'll put on my web page. That's the one that I'm going to link up. Hopefully you don't need a lesson in that.